The Punishing One has been on the holotables now for a couple of days, and oh my lord, is this ship an absolute doozy. Now, when CG released the kit reveal for the Punishing One, we could all tell it was going to be an absolute banger of a ship, perhaps edging on the little bit of the side of maybe slightly a little too damn good for a standard marquee of a ship, just elevating up the Executor to be ridiculous levels of power. Well, it turns out that yes it is. It is actually easily ripping through the likes of the Profundity. It can even beat, at this point, certain lines up of the Leviathan with a few things going right for you. I managed to go ahead and beat a Leviathan starter with the Sith Fighter with a standard triple attacker lineup here, using the Punishing One at only 5 stars, which in my opinion is quite frankly ridiculous. But CG has actually released some information about what they're thinking of doing with the Punishing One going forward. So on Friday, Meathead did come out with a post right at the end of the week, just saying that they've taken a look at the performance of the Punishing One, and they are actually very happy with where it is sitting right now. They fully intended it to be an absolutely dominating fleet on offense, able to rip through basically everything. Now, instead of them nerfing this ship in any single way, what they've chosen to do instead is give a buff to the Leviathan, because why not? All we need is more power to our ships. However, it's very particular. There has been a meta in the Leviathan matchups recently where people have not been using the TIE Dagger, TIE Dorito, the flying chip in the starting lineup, because it turns out that the Sith Fighter probably gives you that little bit of additional advantage thanks to its virtue of being able to attack under protection and gaining turn meter for your squad as it goes along. So, CG in their infinite wisdom are pushing some additional power into the TIE Dorito, which already causes some level of issue when using the Punishing One against the Leviathan. Now, what this means for mirror matches coming up, everybody in the previous meta with the Leviathan was running a Sith Fighter, and they put like Relic 9 Sith Assassins down on the board. I've always maintained that that was a foolish thing to do. Don't go Relic 9ing your Sith Assassin. You should really save Relic 9s for those key units like Relic 9 Cup. What does this mean in practice? Well, honestly guys, I'm not even quite sure. I don't know what they're going to be doing to the TIE Dagger to make it more beneficial, but I'm just a little concerned. I want to make sure that CG do not try and rush out this fix, especially with us getting a new week of GAC coming up for sign up very shortly. I don't want them to half-ass this and send it out there and cause, I don't know, the Leviathan to just be absolutely unbeatable on defense, for example, against any single comp. I don't want that. I would rather them take the time, get it right, and then push it out. Now, this does mean we are going to operate in an era of the Punishing One being all-consuming and amazingly powerful on offense, and very powerful on defense for those of you that do have a 7-star Punishing One. So not only is the TIE Dagger going to be the go-to defense one to stop out the Punishing One counter, but it will be the standard for a mirror match as well. I don't know how this is going to play, but I wouldn't be surprised if it benefits those people that are going to put additional relic levels into their Sith Trooper, who is of course the pilot of the TIE Dagger. It says at the end from CG Miller here that they are going to push out this fix as soon as is possible, but I'm hoping what they mean there is as soon as possible with the right level of balance. We don't want the Dorito to be ridiculously powerful and just all dominating on defense and on offense. That just wouldn't be a good environment to operate in. So I'm just going to play you some footage of a run I had against a 7-star Leviathan over here with the Sith Fighter startup using my 5-star Punishing One. This is not 7 stars, this is just I wanted to see if I could beat this comp. This was the only thing that I really kind of worked. It does not work versus TIE Dagger in my instances. None of my testing I could get the matchup to win versus a TIE Dagger starting lineup anyway, so I'm not sure how much of a buff it really needs, but that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Over here, I found it really easy if I just went straight after that Sith Assassin. These are all Relic 7 on my enemy side, so not massively high inflated Relic levels, but about average for what you'd expect. Take out that Sith Assassin, and I focus down on the TIE Bomber over here. They, of course, always bring out the the TIE Interceptor as the first reinforcement if you start with the Sith Fighter. I decided to reinforce here, had a little bit of think, went with IG-2K instead of going with Houndstooth or with Slave 1. I wanted to try and get a maximal level of damage out there with a bit of control. Landed the stun over there. We've also defeated that bomber once. We nearly actually lose the punishing one here. It must have a relatively high target priority. Managed then to take out their bomber and decided to focus down on the Fury class Interceptor because I didn't think there was much point focusing down on the other Interceptor there. So managed to get off a full heal on the TIE Dagger, sorry, that's in my head now. The punishing one, just to heal him up, continued that focus. I'm trying to get through to that death mark to try and chew through the stacks of the TIE Interceptor when we get the chance. Calling in IG-2K there for the double tap, and we've hit our contract. So far we're doing okay, but we're about to lose the capital ship. I used the I used the punishing one to call in the IG-2K. We've hit that contract, so we're getting those extra double taps. We're about to, I believe, have our marked death mark, which they cannot cleanse, so it's going to cause instances of damage above and beyond what you would normally have on that TIE Interceptor. So we lose the capital ship, guys. We've lost the capital ship, but the enemy has only got the TIE Interceptor here with like 7 stacks on it, so it's not exactly going to last very long. Fortunately, they do an AoE and get rid of all of the fear. I get that death mark on there, 7 stacks all the way down to 3, 1 tap, boom. 2.5 minutes, full health, full protection, the entire team survived. I don't think this is repeatable or reliable. You can see my lineup here. They had all Relic 7s up at the top. I was rocking Relic 7 on Bam, Relic 5 on Cad Bane, Relic 5 on my 5-star punishing one with Dengar, and then just no other ships for reinforcement outside of bounty hunters, because I believe it causes some issues. Now, that to me is not something that I think should be a thing. I don't think a non-7-star fleet that is 2 metas old should be beating the Leviathan that easily. I don't think that should be a thing. Granted, if this had more relic levels or whatever, it might not have worked, and if I had a 7-star punishing one, it probably would have been even easier. The real craziness is how easy it is to take out profundities with this fleet. Exact same fleet lineup here. I just decided, hey, let's see how it does. On paper, it's going to do phenomenally well, but how well does it actually operate when you just take it in practice? They did a lot of attacks, which of course has completely removed all the cooldowns off my death mark. I did a mass assist on the Rebel Y-Wing, nearly defeated it, and then I just decided to death mark the Outrider. And that basically sees off the Outrider entirely. Call in the assist, and he's gone straight away. I was like, oh. And then they lose the Rebel Y-Wing, and I'm like, well, dear me, this fleet is already pretty much dead. Pretty much dead in the first 30 seconds. It's absolutely crazy just how powerful this was. And if we hadn't missed that reinforcement there, that second attack there from Xanadu Blood, we would have completely destroyed the Phantom 1 at this point. Now, I don't know why I attacked the Phantom 1. I could have just gone right after the Millennium Falcon here. Millennium Falcon is stunned and buff immunitied and breached. And I'm just like, oh. So a minute to full banner, no reinforcement needed, take out the profundity. It's really going to show to highlight just the difference in power that this ship brings. It is absolutely ridiculously strong in a very accessible early game fleet. I don't want to call it too early game. It's not massively early game, but it is the easiest fleet to get your foot in the door when it comes to fleet arena climbing. So I think everybody should be trying to push for the Executor as soon as possible if you do not have it. It's easier to get than Profundity. It's easier to get than Leviathan, and Dengar is a requirement for the Executor at Relic 5 anyway. So this ship is absolutely meta changing, guys. It just dominates the board. I don't know why it's so powerful. I don't know what this means for the future of fleet, but right now Punishing One is here to stay. So let's keep our eyes peeled for news from CG about how they're going to be changing up the TIE Dagger and what that will mean for the fleet meta, because things are just getting a little bit crazy. So before we go, I just want to give a shout out over here to Vexatron. He recently put out a video going over a 7-star Punishing One counter. So this is essentially using the Executrix with the Scythe and the TIE Advanced to try and take out Punishing One on defense. So huge hats off to this gentleman here. I don't know much about Vexatron, but he put out a really good video going over a non-meta counter. Now, I want to just preface this by saying, yes, this isn't using something like, we're not going in Executor or Profundity or Leviathan here. That's great, but it does require you to have the Scythe and the Interceptor, the TIE Interceptor, and that in itself is a bit of a grind because it's with, we're talking Conquest ships, we're talking Inquisitors. Not everybody's going to have it, but it does open up another door so that when it comes to taking out the Executor defense with the 7-star Profundity, you have got some additional options available to you. This is going to be obviously more of a mid to late game fleet counter. If you do not have this, you might have to end up saving your Leviathans on offense, but then again, you know, that comes late game as well. It's always great to have some options out there on how to counter this. I'll leave a link to this particular video in the comments section down below and in the descriptions. So shout out to Vexatron over here. Make sure you go give him a sub. It's always good to get our support and build up the other content creators that this game has. But that is going to be about it for today's video. I want to know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that the Punishing One is too powerful? Do you like where it's at? And how do you feel about the buff coming up for the Leviathan with the TIE Dagger? Let me know in the comments section down below. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And a huge shout out to my incredible patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. If you want to support, you can do so from as little as $1 a month. Links in the description down below. I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.